back to the Raspberry Pi series, everyone. Today we will be doing a simple project. It was my first project and my dad gave me the idea. Also, a lot of credit to LinkedIn and I forgot his name, but there was a LinkedIn course called Raspberry Pi Essential Training. A lot of credit to that. And for this project, it would be good to have some background Python knowledge. And also, let's get into the materials. You'll need, from the last chapter, you'll need all of your Python material and your Raspberry Pi materials, since I'm used to programming Python. And you'll need a breadboard, some jumper wires, a 330 ohm resistor or higher. In this case, since I don't have a 330 ohm resistor, but I do have a 1000 ohm resistor, I'm using the 1000 ohm resistor. You'll need an LED light. Okay, so the first step, obviously, well, actually no. So to set it up, I would suggest to unplug your Raspberry Pi. You don't have to, but some people consider this to be the first step. I don't, but I do strongly recommend it because this does actually prevent chances of your Raspberry Pi blowing up. But I didn't do this as the first step. It still worked. The Raspberry Pi, of course. The Raspberry Pi didn't blow up. Oh, okay. So, for your jumper wires, you will need a black one on number 39. And number 39 from here, oh my god. From here, and it's on the last Raspberry Pi. And then you'll need number 5, which goes like 1, 2, how to get this up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you put it where you count 5. Here. And then okay. So since I already know this works, to test if it works, generally for me, how I test it is I turn my Python on and my Raspberry Pi on. There, and it lights up like that. Now it's going, my projector or my TV as my monitor is turning on for the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is starting up there. So, to stop it from blinking, well, okay. Here's the project. My project is named Project 1PY. Okay, I'm gonna get out my keyboard and my mouse. So my project is called project.py or project.python. It always has to be a .python file if you're using Python. And for this project, I am using GPIO 0. Since I am an idiot and I do not know how to get RPI.GPIO, I've heard that library is actually more powerful than, I think it's more powerful than GPIO 0. But I chose GPIO 0. You have to do RPI.GPIO 0 or GPIO 0 to make this thing blink. And now the first thing I'm going to do, so the first thing we need to do is import the GPIO 0 library, and from that we will import the LED light, this LED light. We will import sys for the kill code and using sys.exit. We will import random for the random number. Basically what this Python project does is when you run it, it gives you a random problem. When you run it, press enter 3 times. So after you run it, 1, 2, 3, and then it gives you a multiplication question. If you get it wrong, beep boop, beep boop. My LED does blink, and it is blinking. That's what happens when you get it wrong. So don't get it wrong, okay? I tested this out on my brother, and he didn't get it right, okay? Let's just say that. Anyways, now you're going to define my LED with the value 3, assign the value 3 to it, and we're gonna create 2 values. The first one will be the first number, which is using the random library. We will use random.random integer, int or random integer, and you can define how big it is. For me, I put it from 100 to 10,000. It can go, 100,000. I don't know why I did that. I should have just put it like 100,000 to like 1 million or something to make them get it wrong. Easy, instant. But I put it from 100 to 100,000. And number 2 is the exact same thing. Now the product is number 1 times number 2. Now, right after I do this, I put an if statement. If the product is not equal to number 1 times number 2, which it is supposed to equal, but if for some reason it's not equal to, because one time it wasn't equal to, I don't know why, but if it's not equal to number 1 times number 2, then we will use sys.exit if the exit function does not work. Because one time the exit function for some reason didn't work, I don't know why. Now we're going to make 4 more values. All of them will be inputs, and it'll input what is the product of number 1, number 1 and number 2, which is why you have to press enter 3 times. And now this is probably the most important part. If function 3, not function 3 is not equal to the product. Because if function isn't equal, but function 3 is equal to the product, then it'll just still say, it'll say these things. But it's not supposed to. So, yeah. Function 3, not function, or like whatever. Whatever is equal to the input of number 2, you put that here. Important step, I guess. And if that isn't equal to the product or their answer, now these are my failed attempts of making product a string. I'm stupid. Don't know why. But I'm too lazy to delete them since I am lazy, man. Then you have to print, you got it wrong. The answer was print product. So basically the answer to this was this. I printed the product, and then I printed so-called math genius. And then after it prints, it'll go my LED.blink. If that doesn't happen, if function 3 is equal to product, good job, you're a math genius. That is a very simple Python project. I used Thonny, which is Python 3, to do this. And this is my first ever project. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, a lot of credit goes to my dad and the LinkedIn course called Raspberry Pi Essential Training. It taught me the GPIO 0 to import LED. It taught me to use a push button, and whenever it was pushed, the LED light would turn on. Huge props let's run this. Last time to run. Run this. And purposely get all these wrong. There. Beautiful. See you in the next episode. Bye.